Dragon Ball Super versus Dragon Ball GT. Which one is better? This is a question that constantly tears our fandom apart, when in reality there are aspects of both that are quite enjoyable. How's it going, everybody? Savvier GT saying what is good to all my Super Saiyan homies, here to bring you all sorts of Dragon Ball content. If you enjoyed the video, please consider hitting that thumbs up, subbing, and turning on notifications so you don't miss out on any future content. With that being said, today we're going to be looking at 3 things that I think that GT did better than Super, and 3 things that Super did better than GT. Before we start, I want to give shoutouts to @RageQuit_ and @PPman4713 for contributing to our pre-video discussion over on Twitter, and yeah, I would love to do some more of those in the future and get some more, input on those. Just, this way when we do more discussion videos like this, we can talk about it as a group. That's the point of discussion videos, to discuss things. So yeah, without further ado, let's hop in, starting with Dragon Ball Super. Up first for Dragon Ball Super, we have fleshed out arcs and villains. While GT is at a huge disadvantage here simply due to how few episodes it had, Dragon Ball Super's runtime and more drawn-out storytelling allowed for a better pace of their arcs. Despite its short in quantity, Dragon Ball GT has both points where it seems rushed and too slow. The Super 17 saga is considered to be one of the most memorable and impactful of the series, yet it's only 7 episodes long, with the titular Super 17 only appearing for 5, which makes it feel more like a filler arc just to really have an excuse to use the Dragon Balls and establish the Shadow Dragon arc. On the reverse side of this, the Shadow Dragon arc itself takes far too long to get off the ground. Despite being the peak climactic arc in the series, its Monster of the Week episodic format, until the reveal of Sin Shenron, leaves much to be desired. Rather than seeing these dragons work in tandem to wreak havoc, with the Dragon Team forced to use all their resources to handle them, we're instead subjected to Goku and Pan tracking down these monsters of the week, and when they're faced with their quirky abilities, seem to go back and forth from being completely unable to deal with them to totally unfazed by them. Dragon Ball Super, on the other hand, had a weight in every fight. No battle was without meaning, though many fell into the more episodic formula in the Universe 6 tournament and Tournament of Power arcs. These battles all came at either of benefit to the audience by presenting new knowledge and information to us about these universes, or at a consequence to the character, at least in the short term. Next up for Dragon Ball Super, we have world building and lore. Now, Dragon Ball GT is not without some fantastic lore, leaning into some older topics of Dragon Ball that would allow for some cool new ideas, such as Baby revisiting the savage conquest of the Saiyans and the repercussions it brought, Golden Great Ape and Super Saiyan 4 revisiting the power of Ozaru, and the Shadow Dragons themselves showing the consequences of the misuse of the Dragon Balls. But these things kept the story grounded in the world that we already knew. Super, on the other hand, transcends the multiverse as well as mortality with the introduction of God Ki, an expansion on the mythos of the gods with the inclusion of gods of destruction and angels, and bringing in the other universes who brought refreshing new characters such as Hit and the Pride Troopers, as well as spins on characters and races we were already familiar with, such as Frost, the Universe 6 Saiyans, and the Universe 6 Namekians. This would allow to keep things at a level of familiarity, while also branching out the story into some more distant possibilities. Lastly, for Dragon Ball Super, we have a natural character progression. Rather than spending time focusing on what GT didn't do to progress their characters, cough cough, Goku being a child the entire freaking time, cough cough, excuse me. Let's discuss how Super moved its characters forward instead. Many feel that Super destroyed Goku's character. He is following a natural path to close the gap between the Buu saga and the end of Z. I won't go into too much detail on this, as it's been made more apparent recently in the manga, and not while the anime was still airing. Super has completely changed the perspective on Oob versus Goku, displaying Oob's potential as well as a physical representation of his ki, and Goku's new understanding of God Ki and using Ultra Instinct in all forms, including his base, pushing them more and more to their originally intended master and student roles, rather than leaving Oob simply as just another person to stall out until Goku arrives on the fight. If you want to see more on this, check out my video on the end of Dragon Ball Super, which will be linked in the description. On top of this, we see a more natural progression for characters such as Vegeta, now more of a family man, Tien, now in charge of the Crane School he once studied at, and even Gohan, who despite fans not being pleased with, was able to follow his dreams and achieve his goals of becoming a scholar, which is just a handful of examples. It's fair to say that Super moved the ball forward rather than leaning into old nostalgic tropes. Starting off for Dragon Ball GT, we have its designs. While art and animation has changed quite drastically between the respective releases, the character designs in GT took far more risks. Many say that Super Saiyan God and Blue are simply just recolors, and without their auras wouldn't be all that interesting. Though I enjoy their simplicity, I tend to agree. GT's design strayed from the classic looks of its characters and took far more risks. Vegeta's vest and leather pants, as opposed to his usual Saiyan suit, made him feel a bit more at home on Earth, matching his goofy machismo perfectly. Super Saiyan 4's designs made an intimidating humanoid Ozaru, and even leaned into its lore to further its designs. Baby's constant adaptations and changing based on his parasitic nature kept him fresh and interesting from battle to battle, and the Shadow Dragons left the audience curious for these ferocious beasts and who would come next despite their horrid writing format. All these made for a visually enjoyable experience, leaving the fans with countless moments to ooh and ah. Secondly, we have a focus on Goku's family and a use of old characters. The most fair criticism of Super is how it's truly become the Goku and Vegeta show. The two of them have become leaps and bounds stronger than everyone else and has made every character that we knew and loved who supported Goku in his journey through Z obsolete until the Tournament of Power. On top of this, for a solid amount of the series, Goku's family is off doing their own things. Chi-Chi has long since been the housewife, Goten is too young and overprotected by her to fight, and Gohan is too busy studying as well as being a father himself to baby Pan. While GT does have the benefit of Pan being older, she is a constant presence of and motivation as Goku's family. Though her arc didn't quite flesh out, her presence alone has a huge impact on Goku's decision on several occasions. On top of this, Goten's age behooves him as well, and while he's never really doing any real damage or having an impact on the fight, he is there to support and stall things out. Let's also not forget Super 17's return as a villain, Mr. Satan's use as a comedic foil to Goku as Pan's other grandpa, or Trunks' near constant involvement from the very beginning. Lastly, we have the intensity of Dragon Ball GT. One thing that Dragon Ball Super lacks is any sorts of stakes or consequences. The Dragon Balls have never been shown to have any repercussions, and if anything, the Super Dragon Balls have made this even less so. Even Zeno's ability to completely wipe out a universe and the one use per year rule are negated by the Super Dragon Balls. On the other hand, in GT, there are constant consequences for our heroes' actions. With the Earth in ruins from the Black Star Dragon Balls at the end of the Baby arc, Piccolo decides to sacrifice himself along with the Earth so that the Dragon Balls turn to stone, so that this kind of destruction would never happen again, and is only seen again in Hell, never to be revived. On top of this, the Shadow Dragons themselves are supposed to be a physical manifestation of the consequences of using the Dragon Balls too many times, showing the titular items weren't meant to be used as a limitless get-out-of-jail-free card, but rather a fitting reward for a monumentally challenging task made trivial by the Dragon Radar. Perhaps the best example of consequences for their actions, however, is the use of Baby and his need for vengeance on the Saiyan race. Baby perfectly encompasses the weight and intensity of GT, offering nostalgia, an expansion and modernization upon old lore, and the consequences for the actions of their Saiyan forefathers, making some truly emotionally intense moments. All in all, both series have quite a lot to offer their fans. While many spend their time fighting over which is the better, who's stronger, and so on, turning our focus to some of their strong suits rather than what they struggle at can really help preserve a longer-term, enjoyable viewing experience. I hope y'all enjoyed this one, and I will see y'all in the next video. Peace out.